papers are being printed, the newspaper people were there, the reporters were there. There was a purchase. The first thing they did was close down the facility, go somewhere else where it'd be less expensive. They moved out to the Maxfield building. Then they moved out to Wolfboro, and I don't know where they're housed out at this point. They're an independent company. I think we're going to see the move of our Health and Human Services to be more cost effective, efficient going into the future. I don't think the people of this county should be paying for renovations, which is going to take renovations, for a contract that only has a life of 4 years. Be my move not to reopen this conversation.
Okay, Representative McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I learned about this about 6-7 weeks ago. I was called by a property owner in Conway who was presently renting several thousand feet of space to Health and Human Services. He was told that there was a rumor going around that Health and Human Services were going to move. Conway was going to close, I think Laconia and one other. He asked me to look into it, which I did. And when we were down here at the last, I believe it was the the jail committee subcommittee meeting, I asked Commissioner Solomon, who was sitting right there, if she had any idea of a proposal by Health and Human Services to close several offices and move into the Ossipee area. She said no, never heard of it, had no idea what I was speaking of. I went back to the individual who first talked to me about this, and I told him what Commissioner Solomon had told me, that she'd heard of no movement going on, and at that time he told me, don't worry about it, it was all just a rumor. They've come to me and they told me they are not moving out of Conway, they're staying right here, and they will be here for the foreseeable future, so don't worry about it any longer. So I don't know what the story is on Laconia, whether they're going to close, or with the third location, whether they're going to close. But according to the owner of the property presently renting to Health and Human Services in Conway, they are not moving from Conway.
Okay, Commissioner Solomon.
Well, since I've been brought up, let me explain what happened. I had, at that point in time, not heard anything. However, subsequently, I was informed, as was obviously Representative Babson and Representative Pettengill, that there was going to be a meeting regarding this move. And the meeting was held, I'd have to look it up, but it was held sometime late last month at the Gibson Center, in which they definitely said they are looking to move. That was of no, there was no choices there. They were going to be moving. But I think more to the point here is not necessarily DHHS moving into this facility, but the question is, are we going to destroy two wings that we don't know whether there would be some opportunity to use those wings in the future? This is just one possible opportunity that is coming up. If we destroy the wings, we will never be able to have an opportunity to use it for some benefit for the people of this county and for the taxpayers of this county. So what we are bringing this to your attention to is for you to consider what you have said about destroying those two wings, and rather perhaps maybe we should be looking at mothballing these wings at some time that we find that it may become useful to us.
Okay. Representative Merrow and then Commissioner
Thank you,
Sorensen.
I agree with both Representative McCarthy and Representative Congreve. But on the other hand, up until now, we've had nothing. We've heard of all kinds of things like into those wings, but we've heard nothing that was concrete or even could be concrete. So while I agree with them, I have never wanted to turn down a proposal which might possibly, long-term, be profitable to the county. So I think before we turn this down completely, we at least ought to see the FRP to see what they want.
Okay, Representative, Commissioner Sorensen.
I bring this up
Absent.
from a standpoint that I think we can save the state some money, and I think the county may be able to make a little money. Don't know all of the ins and outs of it yet. We haven't negotiated anything, the RFP hasn't come out, but my feeling is that we could do it cheaper for the state and still make some money. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay, Representative Babson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had asked the commissioners to contact you and have you call HH&S and have the individual that spoke with us up in Conway come in and tell us. They're going out for a request for quote, they're not going out for a proposal. And I suspect when they get it, they're gonna move forward with it, and we're now in the process of chasing our tail. I think we have to decide whether we wanna entertain the thought of having them come here and change our thinking on the wings, or don't do anything at all. I think I tend to agree with Representative McConkey. If we're gonna be required to put in a good deal of money to renovate the place, they certainly ought to be willing to commit for 10 years, or I'm not a builder or a construction man, whatever would be the usual amount of time. And I think that we should have someone come here and talk to us before the quote goes out, rather than sitting back and waiting, which would seem to be the game here. They're
Okay.
gonna say to us, I can see it now, we can't give you a price because we don't know you're coming here. They're gonna say, we can't give you an insurance because we have no idea what you're gonna charge. And there we go around the tree.
Okay, Commissioner Solomon and then Representative McConkey.
To the point, I did try to get in touch with DHHS, with the people from DHHS who had been at the meeting. Unfortunately, I was unable to reach anyone who could make a definitive answer about coming to this meeting, but I will continue to. I did get a call back on Saturday when I was not home, on Friday, I'm sorry, when I was not home, and then when I tried, by the time I got the call, it was Saturday, and, I couldn't get back to anybody on a Saturday, and Monday was coming up. So I will continue to try to get somebody, at least understanding that we would like to speak with somebody from their office to come in on whatever meeting you set up.
Okay, Representative McConkey and then Umberger.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I commend Commissioner Solomon's efforts in following through on this. I would hope that the commissioners would be thinking when they speak to Department of Health and Human Services that they wouldn't be talking to them about two wings that aren't going to be there going forward. I would hope that they would be talking about the 8,000 to 10,000 square foot left in our building that we still have. This is no reason whatsoever to delay a decision that we've made going forward. The county is not in the business of making money, taking away rentals from business people out in the public center. So we have an amount of space that's left in the core building that I believe we've agreed that we're going to save. If the commissioners want to talk about how we can maximize our income that we're going to have in rehabbing that one building, my hat's off to you, and please do. But I don't believe that this delegation should be reconsidering a position that we have, and believe that we should move forward on this. And if something comes of our extra 7,000 square feet that we have available, fantastic.
Okay, Representative Umberger and then Commissioner Solomon.
I'm not sure whether, when we're talking about renting space, I believe that comes under DAS, Department of Administrative Services, because they are in charge of doing all the rental. And I don't know, on this particular RFP, whether DHHS is worrying about the rental space, or if DAS is worrying about the rental space. So I agree that if, with Representative McConkey, that if they want to pursue talking to somebody, then they should. And, find out, if the RFP is coming out in October, then we should be able to go online and find it, because that's how they do things. And, take a look at what it says, and if they think they can do that, we've basically, I think, authorized $1 million for refurbishment, and not to exceed $1 million.
But you're talking about the core.
Right. And if, that's why I say I agree with Representative McConkey that, we're talking about, 8 to 10,000 more square foot in there, that, they probably have enough room, and if they can do it within what we have authorized them, and can do it within the time frame that DHHS requires it. Because again, this is all part of their cost-saving, DHHS's cost-saving measures to reduce the burden that we voted them to do, so.
Okay, Commissioner Solomon.
I
and then
just wanted
Representative
to make the point that what is left in the core, from all of our understanding, would not be enough to support what the DHHS, in this case, what the DHHS wants. There is not 10,000 square feet left.
Okay, Representative McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's a possibility that the square footage that they mentioned might be lower, because originally they were talking about closing 3, Conway, Laconia, and one other, I forget where the other one was, and consolidating them. Now, according to Mr. Thibodeau, Conway is not closing. They've told them they're staying there. They're not closing it. So now you're only talking about consolidating 2, Laconia and the one other. So there might be the requirement for less space.
Excuse me. May I ask who you spoke with?
Yes, Commissioner
Pardon?
Solomon.
May I ask who you spoke with?
The owner of the property that is presently renting
I see.
to Health and Human Services in Conway,
I see.
Mr. Carroll Thibodeau.
Well, yes, Representative Schmidt.
Just a couple comments. At the last meeting, I didn't even vote in favor of maintaining the core. I think I made a statement that I viewed the whole structure as a bottomless money pit, and I really haven't changed my view. And a few years back, we had a defective building, or an inadequate building, to serve the needs of the Carroll County residents, nursing home residents. And we built a state-of-the-art facility to take care of it. Well, that's been accomplished. And now what I hear is, let's save a couple of wings because maybe we can get tenants to come in and do it. I'm not moved by the argument. I will not vote to support it, and I really don't believe that Carroll County should be in the commercial real estate business, which is basically what you're suggesting. I'm not moved by the argument that says we might make a couple of bucks by renting it out. I'm more moved by the argument that we'll probably lose our shirts renovating it, and we're never going to recoup the dollars that we're going to get by having tenants move into it. I hope we do not reopen this. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Yes, Representative.
Perhaps I missed that discussion, but I thought Commissioner Solomon had raised her hand regarding the utilization of the core for this. Did I miss that discussion?
I just said that for this particular use,
Okay.
there was not enough room.
We're in just the
That's
core
true.
with what we have to.
Just the core.
We have,
The
because
rest
there's
of the
gonna
core.
be the kitchen is left, maintenance is
We got
left.
electric room and we got laundry.